Great. So some of it is going over stuff we did last week, but with some new stuff in as well, hopefully. So please come and sit in Swastikasana. So just loose cross-leg pose, and then pull the buttock flesh out of the way on one side and then the other. So you feel the contact of the sit bones pressing down into the mat. And you want to think of actively trying to press the sit bones down. So as you press down into the sit bones, so the crown of the head lengthens towards the ceiling. And then please bring the fingers by the side, just to press down lightly. Think of drawing the inner edges of the shoulder blades slightly together to help open the chest. And then bring the palms together into Namaskarasana. So, and then close the eyes to begin the class. And allow yourself to take a good deep breath in, so feeling the air fill you up from the bottom, from the pelvic floor area, all the way up towards the upper part of the chest. And as you exhale, try not to drop the spine or collapse the spine, but just allow the ribs to soften and the abdomen just pulls back gently. And as you maintain some attention on the breath, your normal inhalations and exhalations, think of the eyes softening, the jaw just slightly, lower teeth just release from the upper teeth, and the throat soft too. And now keep the lift in the spine and the chest, but slowly nod the forehead in the direction of the fingertips. Keep the eyes closed as you release the palms to the inner knees, and then on inhalation, open the eyes and look up. So staying for the moment in Swastikasana, please bring your right arm out to shoulder height. Think of actively rolling the shoulder back to help turn the palm towards the ceiling, and then extend the arm up towards the ceiling. Just bring the fingertips of the other hand just to make contact with the tricep area, and use the other hand to roll the tricep flesh in, and then as you release the spare hand, try to keep that action in the triceps. And then again, think of actively pressing down into the right sit bone and lifting the ribs out of the side of the pelvis to help lengthen the arm. So the lengthening comes from the trunk rather than from the trapezius muscle. And then release that arm down by the side, and then bring your left arm out to the side, just to shoulder height to begin with, and actively roll the shoulder back to turn the palm. Extend the arm up, just bring the fingertips of the other hand to make contact with the outer upper arm, and roll that area in. And as you release the spare hand, just see if you can keep that action rather than letting the arm bend. And then again, root the sit bone down into the support as you think of the ribs lifting out of the side of the pelvis, and then just release that arm down by the side. And then once more, right arm, shoulder height, turn the shoulder to turn the palm, extend the arm up, bring the other hands to support you by the side. And again, think first of sit bone down, lifting the ribs to create length in the right hand side, and then think of going up and over. So you all know by now, not a collapse, but actively reaching like a slinky, the ribs over to the side. And then just try and turn the head to look underneath the arm towards the ceiling. And just take a good breath in, as though the breath in is reaching to expand those ribs on the right hand side, exhaling. And then on the next inhalation, a full inhalation, reach, you're trying to touch the ceiling, exhale, release that hand down by the side. And then to the other side, so you bring that arm to shoulder height, roll the shoulder to turn the palm, extend the arm up towards the ceiling, again, actively root the sit bone down as you think of lifting the ribs out to the side of the pelvis. And this idea of a slinky, you're going up and over, so you're trying to lengthen both sides in fact. And then once you're over, just try to turn the head and the ribs a little bit towards the ceiling, and take a good breath into those ribs. Really try and reach those ribs out to the side, exhale to release. And then on the next inhalation, try to touch the ceiling. So you're all the time thinking of creating length in the spine. As you exhale, release the arm down by the side. Just going to take that into a twist. So once more, right arm, shoulder height, turn the shoulder to turn the palm. Create the length in the spine first, and then as you exhale, bring the right palm to the left outer knee, other hand behind you. And you think of growing taller by rooting down into the sit bones, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. As you exhale, soften into the twist. Allow the head and eyes to look all the way on the horizon towards the left. And then on your next inhalation, undo, come back to centre, and then we'll go to the other side. So left arm to shoulder height, roll the shoulders to turn the palm. Create the length in the sides first of all. As you exhale, bring the left palm to the right outer knee, other hand behind you. So when you begin this twist, it's always just careful you're not tipping over onto the one sit bone. You want to try and keep the weight even on both sit bones. And then you inhale to grow taller. As you exhale, you soften into the twist, letting the head and eyes go all as far as they comfortably can on the horizon towards the right. And then inhale, come back to centre, and please just change the cross of the legs to your other cross, adjusting the buttock flesh once more. And then press the palms down into the thighs, draw the shoulder blades slightly together behind you, and then extend the arms forward, shoulder height, interlace the palms for Badangulyasana, and then this time allow the trunk to push forward, to take the arms forward, and then you take the arms in an arc up towards the ceiling as you find yourself back on the sit bones. Now again, root the sit bones down. You can think of just squeezing the buttocks to help give you that buoyancy in the spine. And then think of just turning the little finger sides of the hands down towards the space behind you as you root up through the ball of the index finger base and the base of the thumb too. And then release the arms halfway down, change the interlace to your other interlace, turn the palms away, and once more come forward before taking the arms up towards the ceiling. Try and just draw the elbows together, turn the little fingers side down towards the floor behind you, pressing up through the base of the index finger and the thumb. And then think there is this hook on the breastbone, just to help you look up towards the hands. So you lengthen the front body and then bring the head and eyes back onto the horizon once more. Good. And then release the arms down by the side, and then please come and lie down on your back with your legs bent up. So if you need a bit of support underneath the head, it's always a good idea just to have a thinly folded blanket to help with that. But your blanket should not be underneath the shoulders, it should be underneath the neck. And then please bring both legs in towards the chest. Press the knees together gently with the hands and just make a few circles in space with the knees. Just a few in one direction and then reverse the direction of those circles. So nice, easy breathing. And then pause with the knees in the centre but drawn towards you. You take a breath in, and then as you exhale, think of your forehead coming towards the knees and the knees towards the forehead, just to round the back down towards the floor. And then inhale, release the head and shoulders back down. And then take another breath in, let the breath come into the tummy, into the chest. As you exhale, lift the forehead towards the knees and vice versa, and then just release the head and shoulders back down. Now, stay taking hold of the right knee, put the left foot down on the floor, draw the right thigh in as close to the chest as you possibly can, and then lengthen out your left leg. Do you remember from last week, if you think of contracting into that left buttock in particular. It will help to get the opening in the front of the left groin. And the right leg, we're not just sort of holding it. What we're doing here is releasing the upper part of the right hamstring. So you get 2 for the price of 1 in this stretch. Good. Now pause. Bring the left leg all the way back in towards you. Transfer the hands onto the left knee. Draw that thigh in close towards you first. Put the other heel on the floor first, and then lengthen out the right leg. And once the leg is long, see if you can actively contract into that right buttock to get the opening in the groin. The more you can contract into that right buttock, it will help to release that hip flexor, and they're antagonistic muscles. So hip flexor is very important muscles for running, as are the glutes in fact. Good. And then bring the right foot back to standing, put the left foot down, have the arms just down by your side, and then inhale to reach the left arm up towards the ceiling, palm facing the centre line. And then just check as you've reached the arm up towards the ceiling that your shoulder blade hasn't come away from the floor. So drop the shoulder back down towards the floor. Take a good breath in, and as you breathe out, begin to extend the arm overhead towards the floor behind you. But don't let this become a back bend. So even if the arm is quite high, that's absolutely fine. Just don't let it become a back bend. And then inhale to bring the arm back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release it down by the side. And then let the right arm up towards the ceiling, palm facing the centre line. Check you have weight in that right shoulder, weight in the back. Take a breath in. As you exhale, begin to extend the arm overhead. But again, don't try and achieve the arm down by lifting the ribs up towards the ceiling. Inhale to bring the arm back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release it down by the side. Now, bring both arms up towards the ceiling. Interlace the palms for fingers for Badangulyasana. Turn the palms away from you. Check again you have weight in the shoulders. Take a breath in. Pull the lower tummy back, and then begin to extend both arms overhead. And then keep the arms overhead. Keep the lower tummy pulled in as you extend one leg and then the other into Supta Tadasana, reclining mountain pose. Again, if you remember from last week, if you think of actively contracting into the buttocks, that will help to keep your lower back down, and try to lengthen the calves into the heels and draw the toes towards the knees. Now keep the legs active, the buttocks engaged, bring the arms back over the chest, change the interlace to your other interlace, turn the palms away, and then once more just extend the arms overhead. But again, can't stress this enough, it's not a back bend. Want to, if anything, think of pulling the ribs down a little bit towards the floor to keep the length in the spine. Now, release the arms over by the chest and bend both knees. Fold your right leg in towards you. Interlace the hands behind the back of the right thigh. And again, just spend a moment drawing the thigh in close towards you. And then as you exhale, allow the leg to go long, to press the heel as if you're trying to touch the ceiling with the heel. Fold it in towards you a second time. Again, just press it up towards the ceiling. Try to draw the toes down towards the face. You'll certainly get the stretch then. And then fold it in a third time. Exhale, press it up towards the ceiling. Now hold it there and then begin to circle the foot on the end of the lower leg. So these circles, mostly in the ankle, but of course as we're moving the foot in these circles, trying to push the heel away, what we're doing is stretching all the muscles, the calf muscles to the back, to the sides of the lower leg, and also to the front. Just reverse the direction of the circles. and then pause, turn the leg out in the hip. You can use your hands to help, just to place the foot, the little toe side of the right foot on top of the left thigh, and then take the leg back up towards the ceiling into parallel. Turn it out once more to bring the foot onto the other thigh. And then a third time, just take it up towards the ceiling, back into parallel. Turn it out, bring the little toe side of the foot to rest on top of the left thigh. Now, press the right heel out to the side. So in other words, you keep that foot active. And then begin to tilt the knees off to the right, as if to bring the right thigh to the floor. Doesn't have to get there, but as if to do that. So you're thinking of the right knee lengthening away from the right armpit, but you want to try and keep the left shoulder down. So it's a lengthening twist, tummy pulled back slightly, and then come back to centre. So again, 2 more. Inhaling the legs to the right, keeping the foot active, the sense of the knee lengthening away from the right armpit, left shoulder down, come back to centre. And then a third time, just take the legs over to the right, keeping the tummy back. Now stay with the legs tilted to the right, bring your attention to your right gluteal, and just see if you can contract and release a few times into that left gluteal to really open and move that hip joint, and then come back to centre. Now keep the legs in the same position, but begin to tilt them off to the left, as if the sole of the right foot is going to touch the floor. Some of you will be able to touch the floor, but as they go to the left, think again of your right knee lengthening away from the right armpit. And what will help you to do that is contracting into that right buttock to help open the groin. And then come back to centre, and then 2 more like that. So you're just tilting the knees off to the left, keeping the right shoulder down, squeeze into that right buttock, and then come back to centre. And then a third time again, just tilting over, squeeze into that right buttock to open out the groin, and then come back to the middle. Now pause in the centre, fold the legs in towards you as a unit. You can lift the head and shoulders to interlace the hands around the front of the left shin, or if that's too much, on the knees behind the backs of the thighs. Either is completely fine. And then try and put the head and shoulders back down as you bring the thighs in close towards you. So you bend the arms to do that. And try and keep the right foot active, and you can use your right elbow just to keep that right knee away from the armpit. So certainly I'm feeling it in my area of my right gluteal area, those right hip muscles, and breathing, and then release the right leg down. Stay taking hold of the left leg behind the back of the thigh. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, just press the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Inhale, release back down. So again, just pressing the foot up towards the ceiling as you lengthen the leg, and then fold it in a third time, and again just press it up towards the ceiling. Try to touch the ceiling with the heel. Now keep the leg long, and just make sure here your tailbone is down on the mat. You don't want the tailbone to be curled up away from the mat. So as the tailbone is pressing down, it's helping to lengthen the hamstrings. And then begin to just make these full circles on the end of the lower leg to stretch out all those lovely calf muscles at the back and the sides of the legs. And then reverse the direction of these circles, really trying to, if the heel isn't fully joining, really try and push the heel away from you as part of those circles. Now pause, turn the leg out in the hip, place the foot with the use of the hands if necessary on top of the right thigh. Your left hand can just say to that left knee, you can keep the distance away from the left armpit, and then take the leg back up towards the ceiling into parallel. turn it out once more, using the hands if necessary to help, and then a third time just press it up towards the ceiling, and then fold it, bring the little toe side to rest on the right thigh. Just check that your left foot is active, so you don't want the foot to be sickled, you want the heel to be pushing out to the right, and if you can manage to do that, it will do something to the hip. And then begin to tilt the legs off to the left, as if to bring the left thigh to the floor on the left, but try and keep your right shoulder down. And once the legs have gone to the left, contract actively into the right buttock, and then come back to centre. So the legs tilt to the left, to bring all the time thinking of the knee going away from you, contract into that right buttock, and then come back to centre, and then once more tilting the legs to the left, keeping the right shoulder down, just contract actively into that right buttock, and then come back to centre. Now pause in the middle, and then begin to tilt the legs off to the right, to try and bring the left foot to touch the floor on the right, but think of that knee lengthening away from the armpit. So again, now you contract into the left buttock to help with that. Come back to centre, and then two more off to the right of the legs. Once they're there, contract actively into that left buttock, and then come back to centre, and then one more time over, contract into that left buttock, and then come back to centre. Once the legs are back in the centre, bring them in towards you, gather them in towards you, lift the head and shoulders to take hold around the head of the shin or the back of the thigh, and then just try and bring the legs in close towards you as you release the head and shoulders back down. Keep the keep the chin tucked in slightly so you're not shortening through the back of the neck, and then just breathe. You may find it's a very different experience with this fold of the legs if you're a bit tighter in one hip than the other, so just breathe there. And another thing you can do just to increase the pleasure factor is just circle the right knee in space, a few circles in small circles in one direction, still breathing, and then reverse the direction of those circles again. Feel that extra work in the hip. Good. And now release the legs, and then cross your right leg over the left. Pull in the tummy, lift the legs in towards you, and then lift the head and shoulders to take hold just above the ankles with the hands. Now just try and bend the elbows out to the side to bring the knees closer to the nose, and once the knees are close to the nose, then release the head and shoulders back down, keeping the chin tucked in. Good. Just nice easy breathing. So great stretch, Supta Gomukhasana, this pose is called, because one hip is internally rotated, the other is externally rotated. Just breathe, breathe, breathe. All the time you're keeping a sense of the elbows bending out to the side, just to find that place where the stretch is still pleasurable, but you're challenging yourself. And then pause. Change the cross of the legs, so left is over right. Pull in the tummy, lift the legs in towards you, and then reach to take hold above the ankles. If you need to lift the head and shoulders to do that, that's fine. Bend the knees out to the side to bring the knees close to the nose. Once they're close, put the head back down, keep the chin drawn in, keep the bend in the elbows out to the side. Just breathe, see if you can soften into any areas of tightness. Just send the attention to that area, as if the breath is just visiting there to release. Good. And then pause, undo the legs. Take the arms out just below the line of the shoulder, palms towards the ceiling. Cross your right leg over the left again, and then just lift the pelvis and move it an inch or so to the right, and then just take a breath in and let gravity take the legs to the left, Now as they go to the left, reach actively in your right arm out to the side to try and keep that right shoulder down, and then just breathe, breathe, breathe. So this stretch, it's a modification of a pose, but it's a good one for stretching out your outer hip muscles. So the outer hip muscles attached to a band of fascia that eventually meets the knee. And if these muscles are tight, it can pull into the knee. So particularly if you are beginning running, it's a good stretch to do just to release that outer area. Now take a breath in. As you breathe out, bring the legs all the way back to centre. Put the pelvis back in the middle, and then just change the cross of the legs. So left is over right. Pick the pelvis up, move it an inch or so to the left, put it back down. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just let gravity take the legs to the right, keeping the tummy pulled back slightly, and then think of lengthening the left arm out to the side to help keep that left shoulder down. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Again, you might find it's very different on this side compared to the other side. Just breathe, jaw nice and relaxed, and then take a breath in. As you breathe out, bring the legs back to centre, put the pelvis back in the middle, and then take hold of your belt. We're only going to do one of the suptas, Supta Padangusthasana 1, the hamstring stretch. So fold the right leg in towards you, put the belt around the ball of the foot or the sole of the foot, have a strand of the belt in either hand, and then from this folded in position, just see if you can lengthen the leg up towards the ceiling. So if not towards the ceiling, you can lower the leg. It has to be straight, the leg though. So to make sure it's straight, suck the thigh muscles, the quadriceps, back to the bone, and try and pull the toes down towards the knee as you lengthen the heel away from you. And then if your back permits, stretch out your left leg long too, and then contract into that left buttock as well. So my elbows are down on the floor to keep the chest nice and open. Just breathe here. As you breathe into it, so with hamstrings, you definitely, because they're big powerful muscles, you always want to give them about, if you're doing it at home, about 8 to 10 breaths. It takes a little bit of time for them to release. So 8 to 10 breaths, just full inhalations, full exhalations. Good. And then pause and change legs. So put the belt around the left foot, keep the right leg bent to begin with. Fold the left thigh in towards you, and then as you exhale, stretch the leg up towards the ceiling. Good. And then, if possible, stretch your right leg long and contract into the right buttock with that leg long. So your right heel is reaching away from you and your left heel is reaching away from you to get together. Chest nice and open. Just breathing here. Now, you can use the belt to help you with the action. Think of the big toe side of the foot pressing up into the belt towards the ceiling, and then the little toe side you draw down to the outer knee and to the outer hip. So it's though both feet are standing feet. Breathe, breathe, and breathe. Good. And then carefully release, bend the knees, and just put the belt to one side for a moment. So If you're doing that yourself at home, I would definitely do both legs twice at least, and even a third time, if just to help to lengthen the hamstrings. And then please come to lie on your front, not for too long, just onto the front. Just rest the forehead on the backs of the hands. And then think of, again from last week, remember, contract into the buttocks in such a way that the lower back is lifting a little bit towards the ceiling. So it's very easy to think you're doing this, and actually what's happening is you're pushing the lower back into the floor. So as you contract into the buttocks, it's almost as if the buttocks are lengthening towards the feet, and it's your pubic bone that's driven into the mat, not the lower back. You see, if it's the lower back and you've got a big gap underneath the hips, that's not it. So you want to try and squeeze the buttocks together to drive the pubic bone down into the mat. And then once you've done that, just lengthen your left leg away from you a little bit, and then release. And then think of the right leg just lengthening away from you a little bit, and then release. And then lengthen your left leg, fold that heel in towards its own buttock, and as it folds in, just be careful the knee hasn't shot out to the side. So keep the knees as if they're attached together, the two inner knees. And then if you can, lift the head and shoulders and reach back with your left arm to take hold of the front of the foot. Now, as you've done that, chances are the left side of the pelvis may have become light. So roll the left side down into the mat as you try and bring the heel towards its own buttock. And think of the thigh lengthening away from you. So of course what's happening here, if you're getting the action in the buttocks, we're lengthening, stretching the front of the thigh muscles, your quadricep muscles. Again, big, powerful muscles that it's good to lengthen in this way. Easy breathing, good. And then release, and then we'll do the other side. So think of lengthening the right leg away from you on the floor first. Fold the heel in towards its own buttock. Reach around with the right arm to try and take hold of the front of the foot. Now, as you've done that, chances are the right side of the pelvis has become light. So roll it down into the mat. Contract into that buttock in particular as you try and bring the heel towards the buttock. Think of the knee lengthening away from you as you do that. Again, just easy breathing. Good. And then carefully release. Good. Again, if you are doing this as part of a home program, I'd probably do that at least twice each side, but we are going to come to them in another way shortly. Now, bring the hands by the side of the chest, curl your toes under, lift the tummy off the mat first, and then push down through the arms to bring yourself into a tabletop position, so on all fours effectively. Hands underneath the shoulders. Now, if your wrists are an issue, just do this on the forearms. This movement, do it on the forearms. But if you are on the forearms, just be careful that your elbows aren't flaring out to the side. Keep them gathered in so they're directly underneath the shoulders. But if you are on the hands, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just round the back up towards the ceiling, letting the head release. And then as you inhale, begin to lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling to come into a gentle extension. And then one more time, take a breath in. As you breathe out, release the head, try and lift the back up towards the ceiling, letting the head go, and then point the tailbone up towards the ceiling to come into a gentle extension. Good. Now, if you can, walk your hands back to sit on the heels. So stretching out the shin again and the front of the foot. And then just bring the hands forward, curl your toes under, and see, can you just sit the weight back on the heels with the toes curled under. Again, a good stretch for runners, just to stretch out the plantar side of the foot. Good, just nice, easy breathing. And then come forward, keep the knees apart, bring the big toes together, and then just sit the bottom back towards the heels. Stretch the arms forward and release the head down. Just spend a moment in this position, breathing into the back, particularly the area of the lower back, the ribs at the back. Just nice, easy breathing, jaw nice and relaxed, just to release all that area. Good. And then walk the hands back, and then please just come and sit on a, so I'm going to sit on a blanket. It could just as easily be a block or two, so just a folded blanket. And then have your legs just stretched out in front of you, and then fold your left leg in towards you. So fold the left leg in so the heel comes as close to its sit bone as possible. Just show that from the side. Show it from the other side even. Left leg close in towards you, and you try and bring the heel in as close to the heel. So it's quite rare in the yoga for us to have this position where the knee is over the toes, but that's fine in this particular position. And actually what it's also doing is stretching out. You have kind of two main calf muscles, your big muscles, the ones on show, and then you have a deeper layer called your soleus, which is actually quite hard to stretch independently. So you bring the heel in close, you allow the knee to overshoot the ankle towards the toes, and then take hold around the head of the shin with the two hands. The other leg is straight. Try and pull your body towards the thigh. Bring your right hand to the floor beside you. Lengthen the left arm up towards the ceiling. So again, you lift the ribs out of the pelvis. Hook the left elbow to the inside of the left knee. Take a good breath in to become taller, and as you exhale, turn your head and eyes, the chest and the shoulders towards the right. Now press the left elbow into the left inner knee. That gives you something to move away from to help you take this twist to the right. Good. And then release, come back to center, and we'll change legs. So you fold the right leg in towards you, try and bring that heel quite in close to its own sit bone. Interlace the hands around the head of the shin and try and pull yourself onto the thigh. And then bring the left hand to the floor beside you. Extend the right arm up towards the ceiling, and you're creating a turn already. Hook the elbow to the inside of the knee, the right elbow to the inside of the right knee. Press those two into each other. Inhale to grow taller, and exhale, try and turn towards the left. Head and eyes leading the way. Good. Again, breathe in to grow taller. As you exhale, take the twist. Good. And then on your next inhalation, come back to center. Just straighten the legs, or have the legs in front of you once more with a slight bend. And this time, turn your left leg out in the hip joint. So you just let that knee fall out to the side, and then bring that foot underneath the bridge of the right leg. So the heel is just kind of tucked to the outside of the buttock. Heel is just tucked to the outside of the buttock, and that left thigh is pointing forward if possible, rather than out to the side. The left thigh pointing forward, and then bring your right foot to the other side of the left thigh. Good. Bring your right hand to the floor beside you. Lengthen your left arm, your left side towards the ceiling, and then see, can you hook the elbow to the outside of the right knee, and then press down into the right arm to help you get taller, and as you exhale, press the elbow into the knee to help you turn to the right. Once you're turned to the right, breathe in to become taller. As you exhale, see if you can soften into the twist. And then inhale, keep the height in the spine as you come back to centre, and then we'll change. So legs in front of you, slight bend. Allow the right knee to fall out to the side. Gather that foot underneath the bridge you've created with the left leg, so the heel is just to the outside of the hip. See if you can bring the left foot to stand on the floor to the other side of the right thigh. Try and become taller in this position, so you pull on the bent leg in front of you to get taller. Bring the left hand beside you, extend, reach up towards the ceiling with the right arm. Try and hook that elbow to the other side of the left knee. Breathe in to become taller, and then as you exhale, take the twist to the left. So you push the elbow into the knee to help you turn. Good. And then carefully release and come back to centre. Good. Once more, just stretch the legs out in front of you. And then this time, allow the left leg to turn out. So the knee turns, the foot turns. And this time, bring the heel towards its own sit bone or own groin again. And your right leg is stretched out in front of you. So I'll show that from the side. My left leg is bent up, I'm mirroring, and my right leg is stretched out in front of me. And now just see, can you just lean forward and bring the hands to the floor, just kind of by the knee, level with the knee a little bit in front, and just let the head go. So you're feeling a stretch once again in those hamstrings, and if you're not feeling it, think of drawing the toes, the right toes, back towards their head. So I'm not trying to get my knee, it's a modification of a pose called Shavasana. I'm not trying to get my head towards the knee. What I am trying to do is, just by letting myself lean forward a little bit, is the sit bones actually move back away from the knee, so with the action of the upper body. Good. Just breathe. As you breathe, you might find yourself getting a little bit lower. It doesn't matter, everyone's different in terms of the length of their hamstrings. You're just kind of trying to find that place where to go further would be not good. You're just kind of on the edge of what's possible, and think of breathing to see if the nervous system will let those muscles lengthen. Good. And then walk the hands back to come up to sitting. Good. And then we'll change legs again. So you allow the right leg to turn out, you bring that heel in close towards its own sit bone. Good. The other leg, left leg, is stretched out in front of you. And then you're just walking the hands forward if possible. Wherever you get to is good, even if it's a millimetre forward, that's absolutely fine. It's where you're feeling your edge that's important. And just let the head release. You feel that as you let the head release, suddenly those hamstrings are being challenged a little bit. And wherever you get to, just breathe. and then look forward, walk the hands back, good. Bend the knees again, and then come back to swastikasana, so cross-leg pose. In this version, so again I'm sitting on a support, just try and walk the feet out a little bit more underneath the thighs. So at the beginning of the class we were just more the ankles crossed, now you try and have the feet more underneath the thighs. And I'll show you this from the side. And then just try and press your heels out to the side as we did before. So press the heels out to the side, and then hands by the side to get taller. And once you've done that, think of walking the hands forward. The chest comes forward, the head comes forward. That's it. And you just come as far forward as you're feeling a stretch. Some of you will be able to come so far forward that your head can release down towards the floor. But wherever you get to, keep the heels pressing out to the side, pressing out to the side. Oh, lovely, lovely work in the hips. Good. Good. Once you've breathed there, look forward, walk the hands back towards you, and then just change the cross of the leg. So you have the other foot closest to you. Walk the feet out to the side again, and then press the heels out to the side. Good. And once you're there, support yourself with your hands. And see again, can you just walk the hands forward, letting the chest come forward, and wherever you get to, doesn't matter if you're still up, just let the head release, let the head release. Good. And breathe, breathe, breathe all the time. And then look forward, walk the hands back towards you. Good, that's it. And then carefully come back to face the front. Good. Now, please come to standing. I've just realised, basically we could do 3 hours worth of stretches for running and stuff like that for the hips. I hope your hips are feeling the benefit of it. And come to stand in Tadasana with your feet hip distance apart. So you take the toes apart, you bring the heels in line with the toes, and you remember from last week, kind of just sense where is your weight going down into the feet. If it's into the front of the foot, you'll know, because you'll find it difficult to lift the front of the foot, and if that is happening, just see how much contraction do you need in the buttocks to bring your weight 80% into the heels. So the outer hip, outer knee and outer ankle are in line. That's it. So the buttocks are working to help you achieve that, and then the thigh muscles lift too in Tadasana. Okay. And then just bring the arms forward, interlace the hands for Badangulyasana, turn the palms away, and then again think, can I take my arms up without letting this become a back bend? So if you only get to here, that's fine. Don't substitute a back bend to take the arms further. So you feel you have to keep that contraction in the buttocks and in the front of the thigh to take the arms up. Good. And then release the arms halfway down, change the interlace to the other interlace, turn the palms away, and then once more extend the arms overhead. Squeeze the elbows together, keep the buttocks working, and then release the arms down. And now interlace the hands behind the back, roll the shoulder blades together, and try and stretch the hands down towards the heels, keeping the shoulders sort of pinned together behind you. Again, very tempting to let the knees bend and the pelvis come forward to do that. So can you keep the alignment? and then release, and change the interlace to your other interlace. Again, just roll the shoulders back. And then release. And then please take hold of your belt again. Good. And then have your belt just in front of you with just a very loose grip. So I've just got the belt between the webbing of my thumb and index finger, just very softly, and my arms are quite wide. Good. And then see, can you begin to take the belt overhead and behind you, and then come back forward. So I'll show that from the side. You're trying again not to let this disturb the alignment of the trunk. It's a movement in the shoulders rather than a back bend. And you might find one arm going a little bit faster than the other, one arm wanting to bend. So you can always make it easier by taking the hands even wider. So what we're doing again is stretching, of course, out the chest and the pectoral muscles and the front of the shoulder. So great stretch for the upper body if you are about to go running, just to kind of free up and open that area. And once you've done it 4 or 5 times, if you want to challenge yourself to make it a little bit more difficult, just creep the hands a little bit towards each other. And then try again. So just by bringing the hands a little bit closer together, it increases the intensity of the stretch. Good. So just nice, easy breathing. Good. And then the next time you have the belt overhand, think of reaching the left side down towards the floor as the right side you reach up and away, and just try and look towards the ceiling as the belt's over to the side, and then come back, and then begin to go to the other side. So the right side goes down, left side lengthens up, and you try to look up towards the ceiling. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. Just put the belt to one side for a moment, and then please take hold of your chair. So, good. And then please come and sit in your chair. Good. And then turn to your left on the seat of the chair, if you can, if you have the chair that permits that, and make sure your right buttock is suspended in midair. So I'll show that from this side. I'm sitting on the chair, but my right buttock is actually off the seat of the chair. And then just see, can you take that right foot, that right leg back, and try and press that heel away from you, but contract into the right buttock. So we're stretching out again the front of the right thigh and the right groin, just breathing here. And then see, can you take hold of the foot, bring the heel towards the bottom again, just to stretch out the quadricep area once more. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Good. And then release. And then we're going to change and do the other side. So you just flip around. Make sure your left buttock is off the seat of the chair. The other thigh is supported on the seat of the chair. And then just see, can you take the left thigh away from you, and reach that leg back, but contract into the left buttock so that the pelvis isn't turning forward, it's facing towards your right. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You're thinking of that right knee going down towards the floor. And then see, can you take hold of the front of the foot, fold it in towards the buttock to stretch out the front of the thigh. Good. And then release. Good. And then please come and sit on the front edge of your chair, facing forward. Facing forward. And I have a little test for you. Can you bring your weight onto your left buttock? So you're bringing the weight onto the left buttock, and then you come back. So just notice, do you bring your weight onto the left buttock by tilting and lifting the other foot, which is one strategy, or are you side bending to do that? And then try to bring the weight onto the right buttock, and just notice, is your strategy to tilt the shoulders and lift the other foot to do that, good, or come back. So just once you've tested that, please bring your right hand onto the top of the head, just onto the top of the head, and then think of moving the elbow down towards the right hip, and then come back to centre. So you're just bringing the elbow down towards the right hip, and then come back to centre. So I'm not doing this, elbow towards the floor. I'm thinking of the elbow shift, going a little arc towards the right hip, and then come back to centre. So just if you're following me, what you'll notice is the weight comes off the right buttock, the ribs move to the left to help you bring that elbow down. Good. And then come back to centre. Just doing that a few more times. Good. And then come back. Now pause. And then bring your left hand onto the top of the head. And think of the elbow going towards the left hip, and then come back to centre. So left elbow towards the left hip, and then come back to centre. So again, I'm not doing this, it's elbow towards the hip, and then come back to centre. Once more, elbow towards the hip, and then come back to centre. And then pause. Bring your right hand onto the top of the head, bring the elbow towards the hip, come back, and then think of the elbow going up and over towards the left, and then come back. So elbow towards the right hip first, come back, and then go up and over towards the left, and come back. So elbow towards the hip, and then think of going up and over towards the other side. Release that hand down. So what we're doing there is getting the spine to shift the weight from one sit bone to the other rather than tilting. Bring the other hand onto the top of the head. Careful you're not pressing yourself down to make you squash yourself down. Bring the elbow to the hip, and then think of it going up and over to the other side. So you bring the elbow to the hip, you think of it going up and over to the other side, elbow to the hip, and then think of going up and over to the other side. Just do it a few more times and continue to feel what the spine is doing to facilitate this movement of the elbow. And then pause, bring the hands back onto the thighs, and then shift your weight over onto the left sit bone, come back, and then shift your weight over onto the right sit bone. So if you are a runner, if you're doing the 5K challenge, this is the kind of thing you have to be able to do to transfer weight to one leg and then the other. So can you feel it's transference through the pelvis and the spine, as opposed to tilting tilting like a pendulum. We run and walk from our ribs and our pelvis. When they get very held, then it becomes a very different thing. Now, just once we've done that, bring your weight over onto the left side and then twist. Take your turn towards the right so that your left palm comes onto the right outer knee and the other hand just takes hold of the chair somehow, the seat of the chair or the back of the chair, and then turn the head and eyes all the way to the right and then come back to centre. Good. So we'll do that again. So you shift over onto the left, take the left hand to the right outer knee, other hand behind you, and press the hand into the knee to help you take a twist to the right, head and eyes going all the way to the right onto the horizon, and then come back to centre. Good. And then let's go to the other side. So you shift the weight over onto the right side, take the right hand to the left outer knee, other hand behind you, and then you press the right hand into the left knee to help you turn to the left, head and eyes also looking all the way on the horizon to the left. Good. And then come back. Good. So once more, you shift, twist, right hand to the outside of the left knee, other hand behind you, and you press the right hand into the left knee to help you twist even further to the side. Good. And then come back. Good. Now pause. Bring your two fingertips, sets of fingertips onto your forehead so that your elbows are facing forward, and think of your elbows lifting, going slightly forward and up to extend the spine, and then come back to the starting position. You think of the elbows going forward and up to extend the spine, and then come back to centre. Now just have a look at me on the screen and notice the alignment of my shoulder to my outer hip. Think of a line being drawn there. So as the elbows go forward and up, I'm not taking the shoulders forward, I'm trying to keep that relationship of the shoulder to the outer hip. So it's an even extension through the spine. If you tend to get it a bit rounded and just try and do it from the neck or the pelvis, it doesn't get that area to move. So you want to just think of keeping that alignment as the elbows go forward and slightly up. Good. And then pause. Good. Just come back to centre, and now just bring the left fingertips onto the forehead and think of them just going forward and slightly up, the elbow going forward and slightly up. Just a couple of those movements, keeping the alignment of the outer shoulder to the outer hip. Good. And then pause and change so it's your right fingertips on the forehead. And again, just think of the elbow going forward and slightly up to try and extend the spine nice and evenly, and then come back. Good. And then once more, sit on the front edge of the chair, take a twist to the right, so the left hand goes on to the right hand outer knee, other hand behind you on the chair. And then bring your right fingertips onto the forehead again, so you're turned towards the right, and think of your elbow going forward and up, and then down towards the hip, forward and up, and down towards the hip. So we're extending the spine as the elbow goes up, rounding the spine as the elbow comes down. But can you feel how we're shifting the weight from one sit bone to the other to do this? Just shifting. Good. Pause, come back to centre. Take a twist to the left, so the right hand goes onto the left outer knee, other hand behind you. Bring the left fingertips onto the forehead in this turned position. Think of the elbow going forward and up and down towards the hip. Forward and up and down towards the hip. Just a nice easy movement, shifting the weight from one sit bone to the other. Get the spine moving. Good. And then come back to centre. Almost there, don't worry. And then once more, shift the weight to the left. Take a twist to the right, so the left hand goes to the right outer knee. And this time, bring the right hand to the back of the head. Back of the head. And then think of bringing the elbow to the opposite knee, so you're rounding the back. And then take the elbow back and away from you in a big arc as you press the left hand into the right outer knee to extend the spine. So elbow to the opposite knee, take it back in a huge arc behind you and try and look at the elbow with the head and eyes, and then come forward in an arc towards the opposite knee and back in an arc behind you. Doesn't that feel fantastic? And then release. Let's do the other side. So you turn to the left, right hand on the left outer knee, bring the left hand behind the back of the head, and then think of folding the elbow to the opposite knee, and then take it back in a huge arc behind you, trying to see the elbow. Come forward to the opposite knee, take it back in a huge arc behind you, and then come forward, take it in a huge arc behind you, and then come back to centre. Last movement, interlace both hands behind the back of the head. Now turn to your right. I'm going to show this from the side. So you turn to the right, and then think of bringing your elbows between your knees, elbow between the knees, and then think of it lifting forward and up to go back with the back elbow. So you come down between the knees and think of going back in an arc towards the back elbow. Come forward between the knees, reach it back in an arc towards the back of the chair, and then release. Other side, so again, interlace the hands, turn to the left, think of your elbow coming between the knees and you lift it up and back behind you in an arc. Come forward between the knees, lift it up and back in an arc. Good. And then last time, forward between the knees, up and back in an arc behind you, and then come back to centre. Well, hopefully if that doesn't make you feel like going for a run, nothing will. Please come and lie down with your legs resting on the back of the chair for Shavasana. Just a few minutes in Shavasana, head supported on a blanket if you have one to hand. Just rest the lower legs on the seat of the chair or whatever's available to you. And then please close the eyes to end the class. Just allow the breath, the inhalations just to be long and full. Soften the jaw and the breath and the throat rather. slowly begin to wriggle the fingers and toes. Roll to one side. Come up to sit, just easy cross-legged facing the front. Bring the palms into Namaskar. Close the eyes. Bring the forehead down. Release the hands. On an inhalation, slowly open the eyes and look up. Thank you very much, everybody.